Thanks for coming on to our Zoom call today with United Captain Heather Loomis.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for being here. Thanks for inviting me.
So as you can see, if you look in the video, Heather Loomis is actually at United, and she's right there looking out her window at a United airplane, which is totally cool.
So thank you all for joining us. My name is Sarah Saller. I'm the Vice President of the chapter. Trimby Sabo is our president. Katie Ray is our coordinator of our Zoom meetings. And Captain Heather Loomis was going to talk today a little bit about what's going on with United Airlines during this crazy time, and then answer any questions we have towards the end. So Captain Heather Loomis, I'll hand it off to you.
There we go. Hi, ladies. Thanks so much for having me today. It's really nice to chat with you and spend a little time with fellow female aviators and aviators of all shapes and sizes. I'm happy to be here. I've been at United for 31 years. I've been a pilot for that long for United. And currently I'm serving as the Assistant Chief Pilot in the Denver Pilot Base out here at DIA. And I still fly and fly the Airbus 320. I'm a captain on that. And I am just really serving in management now to take care of our folks, take care of our pilots, and help them manage their personal lives with their work life, help them manage the contract, manage our safety rules and standard operating procedures. And I'm kind of their liaison between flight operations and the other departments at United Airlines. I've only been doing management for about 3 years, and I'm really enjoying it, but it has given me an incredible appreciation for how many people it takes to get an airplane ready, to plan, to sell tickets, to take care of aircraft, and to prepare the aircraft so that I can show up in a really cool blue polyester suit with gold stripes and step on board the flight deck and take folks across the country. And I'm very proud to do that job. I like being able to connect people around the world with the things that matter most to them. Things like birthdays and graduations and weddings and births, and getting our service members to their deployments or bringing them home from deployments, or occasionally bringing a fallen soldier home, moving the mail. We're moving a lot of mail right now at United, sometimes more mail than passengers, but we all like to shop online and get that stuff, and United helps out with that as well. As far as the company goes, we've been through a lot of ups and downs in my 31-year career. I've seen 9/11. I've seen bankruptcy. We've had, some strife with different management teams and struggles in the business. And United is a survivor. So this coronavirus thing and the civil unrest and any of these things that are upsetting the industry and upsetting many industries, quite frankly, right now, are not going to put United down. We have some of the most incredible people working here. We have a very hardworking and diverse workforce all over the world. And most of all, we have a team, an executive leadership team and manager teams who just have been more transparent, more helpful, more aggressive in competing, and very caring for the employees at United Airlines like never before. We've never had such a great leadership team, and that really makes me proud to be a United employee and to be a United pilot. Regardless of any of the craziness that's going on right now and how it's negatively affecting the business, getting out there and getting on my airplane and flying it is still my favorite thing to do. It is the best job in the world. I have to pinch myself all the time to just realize that I am living my dream, something that I set out to do when I was 16 years old. And it's just still fantastic, even though things are a little bit different. I'm not sure if any of you have been out to the airport since the whole coronavirus and different stressors have occurred. I've been here 4 to 5 days a week from the beginning. And the first I ever heard of something going on was back in late January and February. I had some pilots calling me who were concerned about this virus, the word of this virus, and how is the airline industry going to impact spreading that around the world? What should we do? And it's been really interesting to watch it unfold. It's been changing a lot. Many things are different, although most things remain the same for us. For March and April, mostly April, there weren't a whole lot of people out here at the airport. It was mostly employees and workers at the airport, very few customers. And there were many weeks where we would fly with single-digit numbers of customers on our aircraft. Consequently, the schedule's been reduced quite a bit. We're still flying to all the cities that we normally fly to, at least domestically, and we will be flying, returning to some international markets soon. But we're just not going there as frequently, and there's my airplane. I love my airplane, it's so beautiful. We're just not going to some of the cities as frequently, so maybe sometimes 2 to 3 times a week rather than every day or 5 times a day to certain cities. So we are seeing the passenger numbers come back up a little bit. We're up maybe paying customers up to an average of 50% seat factor on board the aircraft. So it's still just a drop in the bucket compared to what we used to do. A way to figure out how many people are traveling these days on aircraft is to just look at the TSA's website. And there's a number there for how many people they count going through TSA security daily. And right now it's around 240 to 250,000 people. That's normally what United Airlines alone would carry worldwide in one day. And that's now the total number of customers that are coming out to fly on aircraft. So what's it like right now? When I come out here to work in the office or to dress up in my uniform and go fly my airplane, I still come through security the same way I did, use my KCM access. I do have to wear a mask anytime you're out here at the airport. DIA is requiring a mask. Some other airports are requiring it, some it's optional. And then I also have to have my temperature check. So all United employees, anyways, here at Denver, get a temperature check and we wear masks. And we're provided with supplies for cleaning our work areas. And that includes the flight deck. So they're providing us with Lysol wipes, alcohol wipes. And now I have to spend about 10 minutes cleaning the flight deck before I fly. And then when I finish, spend about 5 minutes wiping it down again. And then the next crew that takes my aircraft goes ahead and cleans the aircraft again before they fly. I can't believe we have a 777 going somewhere today. So as we get more and more customers booking, United Airlines is allowing unlimited numbers of customers to book on any flight that we have. And then what happens is that flight right there is probably going to Houston. And it used to be a 737, but so many people booked on it that United decided we're going to upgauge it to a 777 today. And it's not because we're filling that 777 up. It's because we want to provide customers the option to have social distancing. So we are blocking all of the middle seats on the aircraft, optional to be booked by paying customers, but not to be used by standby customers. So some of our flights are up to 70 to 80% full, but very few of them. And once we get to that level, we will add another flight so that the customers can spread out. So that's one of the things that United is doing to support customers being comfortable coming out flying on the aircraft. In addition, we're doing a very robust cleaning, and it's been through an evolution as we progress forward through the virus and CDC and WHO recommendations. And United has always been leading edge when it comes to safety and security and taking care of our customers and our employees. So every surface that any customer would touch, or any employee for that matter, before every flight is disinfected. And we have huge cleaning teams that come out, and they come on board with disinfectants and with clean rags, and they touch everything: seats, armrests, tray tables, window shades, the handles for the overhead bins. And in addition to that, now in between every flight, they are also spraying an electrostatic disinfectant. So they're going through the aircraft with sprayers once everybody is off, and they spray down all the surfaces and throughout the entire cabin. And then we let it sit for about 20 minutes to clear out, and then we're able to board the customer. So I have never seen the airplane so clean ever. I mean, it's just amazing. The flight decks are really clean, and I feel really safe coming to work. I don't feel threatened by germs or viruses or anything like that. We're also passing out masks to our customers as they board if they don't have their own. And we also pass out, instead of cookies and peanuts, we're passing out Purell wipes. So if a customer feels like they want to go ahead and clean the surface, even though we already did a very deep cleaning in between every flight, they will have the tools to go ahead and do that. We're laser focused on safety at United, and I've been flying probably about 10 flights since COVID started, and you know, it feels the same. I go to work, I do my briefing with my crew, I get the aircraft ready, and I follow my standard procedures and my safety ops, and I'm not distracted by everything else that's going on in the world. You know, there's really not much else has changed, except there's a lot of room at the airport, and a lot of room for folks to space out. It can be busy certain times of day. We have 2 banks right now, one at 11 and one at 6 o'clock. And otherwise, there's not a lot of people out here at the airport. It's pretty darn quiet. Anyways, that's what we're doing, and we're looking forward to customers coming back and helping the business. United is in this for the long term. We're doing everything we can to preserve cash for the company so that we will have a good company coming out of this crisis when the customers do return, and we'll be able to start flying to Hawaii again and flying to China again, going to Europe. Those things are all starting to be turned back on, but really it's up to the customers to come back. And once they feel comfortable enough that they can go somewhere and have something to do or have somebody to meet with, they'll be back, and we're here ready to serve them. So that's what I know right now, and I'd love to hear from you guys about your experiences and what's going on with your flying, and I'm happy to answer any questions, anything that anybody has about today's environment or just the airline pilot career in general.
Yeah, so if anybody has a question, you can raise your hand. If you look at your picture on your screen, you should see 3 little dots. You can raise your hand there, I think. For Heather, I can also just unmute all, but then it might get kind of loud. So you can unmute yourself and ask a question. So go ahead and feel free. I'm going to put myself back on mute.
Hey Heather, it's Katie Ray. One of the questions I had was, a long time ago I was told airplanes don't really have that much profit margin. So I was curious how the airlines are even making any profits with flying with as little as maybe a couple of passengers, and are packages making up for that? So
That's a great question, Katie. We are not making a profit right now, and as a matter of fact, later in June, second quarter reports will be out for earnings, and we're expecting significant losses compared to last year, 2019, where we had significant gains and record gains, record profits. So our aircraft on average don't start to make a break-even point until about a 72% seat factor. So we have 72% of the seats filled with paying customers. So right now we're flying around at, an average of 20 to 50%. So it's definitely costing us money. It's costing all the airlines money to fly right now. And that's where the financial experts at the airline come in, and been able to do things like get some loans for cash on the liquidities market. So we've taken assets and borrowed against them so that we have cash to operate. And we've also at United, it's been amazing, but we've been able to reduce our cash flow and reduce our expenses by over 60%. And a lot of that was done by reducing the flight schedules. Some of it was done by employees volunteering to take leaves, unpaid leaves, unpaid or a reduction in hours. So we're working less and getting paid less. And so everybody is doing their part. As a matter of fact, our CEO, our president are both taking no pay this year. And most of the executives at United have taken a reduction in pay. And so everybody's kind of trying to do their part to save cash. And that's the name of the game. And all the airlines are doing that because we still have to pay for rent at the airports. We still have to pay vendors. We still have to provide minimum service for certain contracts. None of our employees have been laid off yet because of the CARES Act. We've gotten some support, although that support from the government does not pay for all of our expenses or even a portion of our payroll. But United feels very strongly that we want to do everything we can to take care of the airline and the people and not force people to be furloughed until it's absolutely necessary. So nobody's taken an involuntary leave or been laid off involuntarily. Most everything done right now at United is being done voluntarily. And there may come a day down the road where we're going to have to do layoffs. It just depends on what the market looks like and whether or not the customers come back and when they do that. But the current condition of the airline industry related to the economy and the lack of customers is not sustainable for a very long time by any of the airlines.
I had a question regarding the outlook of hiring. I know when we last met in November, it was gangbusters, and a lot has changed in just a very few months. So I'm curious to know what that outlook is and your opinion on it.
Most of this will be my opinion and kind of how I understand the industry. We don't have any specific numbers yet, but right now hiring is stopped for any job at United Airlines because we're having to reduce the size of the airline, reduce the flights, and so hiring has stopped. And we are not sure when that's going to resume again. I mean, one of the things that the industry has, at least as far as pilot jobs goes, is there are going to be a lot of retirements over the next few years in the entire industry. So that's going to open up some spots. But if the industry doesn't see some significant return of customers and return of business, most of the airlines are going to have layoffs of pilots. So airline pilots are going to have to go find other jobs, either inside or outside the industry. And while we were a few, 4 or 5 months ago, looking at future shortages of pilots and looking at training our own pilots ab initio from the beginning, right now we're just in a waiting game to see how this thing pans out. And it is going to sort of cause a ripple delay effect for anybody that is getting into the industry and wanting to get a job in the airlines. It's just going to take a little bit longer based on how long it takes for this industry to recover from this crisis. So it's I mean, in the huge picture of things, if you're a young lady or anybody who's out there starting to look at a flying career, I say go for it because it's the most fun thing to do on the planet and it's the best career. So in the beginning, and if you're at the point now where you're flight instructing, gaining hours and hoping to get a job at a regional carrier soon, stick it out, flight instruct, and maybe this is a great time to look at what other kinds of skills can I gain, because there's going to be a little delay in my flying career. So how else can I support my education or my career opportunities with other skills? This isn't the first time we've been through a downturn in the aviation industry, and not the first time that we did not expect it. But this is by far much more significant and way worse than anything has happened before. But that being said, you know, at least in this country and most of the world and in this industry, we have really smart people. We have folks that are innovators and are going to come up with ways to solve problems and to get the business back running again and get our customers back. So I see this as a temporary delay. And by all means, I still encourage people to get involved in aviation. It's fantastic.
Looks like we have a question from Gail. Her audio is not working, but she was curious as to how you mentioned earlier that you're doing a lot of mail. How has that helped or affected you in any way?
So United's been carrying cargo. So right at the get-go, whenever we shut down international flying and, you know, the borders were closed, folks still needed to get their stuff from wherever it comes from around the world. And the cargo carriers were overwhelmed and couldn't carry everything. And so the airlines started looking at the cargo industry and vendors for, hey, if we can't carry customers, we can at least fill up the belly of the airplane with cargo and get it moved. So we have been doing that. United averages about 40 to 50 cargo flights a day, and that's cargo only. No customers, no flight attendants. So it's pilots on board the aircraft. They load up the belly and they're taking that. And those operations are purely profit operations. So it does help stop the bleeding of cash at the airline. It's a great opportunity for not only for us to make a little money, but also for us to serve communities and serve the world by moving cargo. Some of the other operations we've been doing are charter operations for anywhere from the military to corporations. So we're moving troops around to their different bases and in and out of the country. And then another operation is repatriation flights. And that would be, especially during the beginning of the COVID crisis and the shutdown of the borders, the State Department hired the airlines to fly to other countries, pick up U.S. citizens and get them home because there wasn't any commercial air travel available for them to get home. So we've been serving in all of those capacities, and it's been a great thing because pilots have airplanes to fly now, and we have some jobs to do. And it does help the bottom line at United Airlines as well. So that's been a great thing.
I think Miss Bev had a question.
We got Bev. I see you.
Hey, Heather. You mentioned that United is going to report a loss with the upcoming quarter, and so I wondered if that's going to translate into less expensive tickets.
That is a good question. What I'm seeing right now is that the tickets are pretty expensive. Just, you know, the costs are high. I do not know exactly how, I mean, typically the industry would price tickets based on demand, and there's no demand right now, and the ticket prices are still sort of high. So it's really hard to tell what they're going to do with ticketing and whether or not some of the extra costs of mitigating the virus will be passed on to the customer or not, if that's just part of operating these days. It is hard to say. Hard to say how that's going to work out.
I had a question about the international, about other countries, and with their restrictions and quarantines, is there any idea or an industry indication of when they would be accepting air traffic again?
Right. So United is aggressively working with all the countries that we fly to, working with their governments on what the restrictions are for customers and passengers, and you know, the demand of customers to want to go to those countries will also drive us returning to those. I know that United is working on getting back into China as soon as possible. but they are dealing with the government and what their restrictions are going to be so that we can communicate and provide the services that we need to for the customer to be able to go to those places. As far as most of the quarantines in other countries, for example, our cargo flights in and out of China, the crew members aren't even getting off the aircraft. They're flying over there and they're swapping out crews, so we're double augmenting the crews, and they unload the aircraft, reload it, turn around and come back with a double augmented crew. That keeps us from having to deal with the pilots actually having to stay in the country, deal with quarantine. Nobody wants to fly one flight, be stuck in a hotel for 14 days. That's no fun. So we're very active and very robust in dealing with all of those situations. I believe that this week United is going to start flying to Frankfurt from San Fran 3 times a week, looking at going every day in July. And there's a couple other international cities that we're going to get back into here in the next week or so. And everything that was originally in our app or on United.com to buy a ticket on a flight is still there for July, August, September, and on into the future. And then United is just watching to see what the demand is. Okay, that's Frank. To see what the demand is to decide whether or not we're going to fly there. So, but we work very closely with all of the government entities to try and get back into the countries that customers want to go to.
Rachel, you had a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mine's not COVID related, but I was just wondering how you approach like going to school, if you recommend going to like a bigger school or working up your ranks through like smaller school.
Right. There's so many choices nowadays, ways to get your flying and get your education. The way that I did it was I went to a small community college for 2 years, and the flying was cheaper, the college was cheaper, I got to stay at home for free, and that allowed me to be able to afford it. And then I transferred into another university that the big university program actually aligned really well with the smaller college, and I got a lot of credit for the time that I did at the small college. So when I got to the big university, I actually had more flight time and more classes finished than the kids who started there on day one. But that was just my choice. I think everybody just has to figure out what their preference is and what they can afford and what they would like to do. There's so many good 4-year universities out there that have aviation programs. I think that the continuity of a program like that, if you can afford it, is fantastic. Many of them have a lot of great connections to being able to help you progress on into your career and getting paid to fly. They have so many connections with airlines or other types of flying jobs. So there's a lot of great networking to be done there. The military is a fantastic option right now, especially with the airlines hurting and possibly laying pilots off. The military is a great option for not only getting to serve your country and earn some free education, but also it's they keep flying when sometimes we don't. So there's so many days. But I really enjoyed my small community college experience and really was able to focus very strongly on the flying and getting my flying done quickly.
Great answer. Thank you so much for your time today, Heather. We've reached the end, but I want to say thank you for participating and giving us all that information. It has been a fantastic time, and I do hope we can coordinate in the future.
You bet. Well, it was really nice being on with you guys. We always enjoy having you out here to the airport. Hopefully we'll be able to do that again soon, and possibly tours at the training center. We've got a lot going on here in Denver, a lot of great pilots and great folks, and we love hosting you and showing you around. And feel free to reach out to me for another event soon.
Thank
you. Very nice.
And then can you tell us a little bit about the videos that you're sharing? Because we're going to share some videos. They'll be on the website, right, Sarah?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Sarah's gonna either email or put up on the website a couple of videos, and they're right on YouTube. So one of the videos is just an introduction to our new CEO at United, Scott Kirby. And Scott's an amazing man. He's a great leader. And like I said before, one of the things that's so great about United is just our super leadership and how much they do to communicate with employees all the time, every day. They host town hall meetings for us so we can ask questions. So I just wanted you to be able to see a little bit of him, just so you get to know what kind of company United is and how supportive they are. And then the other video is a quick video about how we're cleaning the aircrafts during COVID. And that's a really neat one to share with your friends who are kind of non-pilot friends who are afraid to fly right now because they're worried they're going to get sick or they're worried about the virus. And so you can give them a little confidence that we are doing absolutely everything we can and going above and beyond as much as we can to keep the airplane safe and clean. So those are the two things that'll be available for you. And then you can also put up the unitedaviate.com website, and that's our aviate program career recruiting and planning website. A lot of great information on there, some super videos of lots of neat people who have become pilots and are flying for United and all the other cool things that they do in their lives. So when you got some free time and you're hanging out at home during your stay-at-home time, those are some fun things to watch. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'll unmute everybody so we can all say thank you. There you go. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hi, Abby.